Well, that was a turnout for the books. We've got a first place in the bodybuilding first timers, first place in the bodybuilding beginners, first place in the bodybuilding novice, and third place, also known as a top 3, in the open heavyweight bodybuilding at the Two Bros Trained by JP Cup, which it still hasn't sunk in really about these. I'll be honest, because obviously we did that show as an early show. If you've been following, you will know that I competed earlier than expected. I did announce it in the previous leg day video with Ryan Cartwright. Callum basically said I was about 6 weeks ahead of schedule for the NABA. This show was on, let's do it. So I was like, let's do it. So I signed up for the 3 categories where I've placed first. And then around about 2 weeks before the show, Callum was like, is it letting you add another class? Can you jump in on the open heavyweight? I was like, mate, come on. Like, this is my first show. But I'm at that point of prep, and I was then, where whatever Callum says, I'll do. So within 10 minutes of that conversation, I was on the Two Bros website, signing up for the class. I added it in, so we jumped in with the open heavyweights as well. And looking back at it now, I definitely don't regret it. I've had the pictures back from Bailey. Of course, those guys are bigger than me, but I held my own. I didn't look out of place up there. Condition-wise, I think Callum said this as well, I was probably the sharpest on the stage, especially from the rear. The plan now is just to bring in more detail ready for the NABA on the front, really, because there's not much left on the back. But this video is more of a recap of the show, because I really wanted to do like a behind the scenes vlog of that day. The team of me and Carla, the missus, we were gonna get some behind the scenes stuff. I was gonna do some stuff on here as well. I had the G7X vlogging cam ready. She was on that. I said you can use your phone if you need to, just to get raw footage, whatever we can get. And then the emotional roller coaster of that 2 days, of the Friday and Saturday, in the lead up to me stepping on stage. I think I must have changed my mind about 4 or 5 times in doing a behind the scenes vlog. I've actually got quite a bit of footage of me talking to the camera, doing the whole little intro and all that shit, but then I was like, no, I'm too stressed out. I've got to focus on this comp, which is the right thought process. Like, I regret not having a videographer for it, to be honest, because obviously I've invested in videographers throughout the series to help me, and then show day, I didn't have the videographer, but it is what it is. I've actually got one booked in for NABA. That was booked in like 2 months ago. Las Gelsey, so that's going to be a banging video regardless. But going back to this show, I was up and down in terms of recording the footage, and probably did the wife's head in quite a bit because I was just a stress. To give you a little insight into how it went down, so the Friday we left here about midday to head up to Maidenhead to the hotel. We checked in about 3:30. I was water loading like I was in the leg day video with Ryan Cartwright. We brought the water loading cut-off time back by an hour, so instead of 3:30 it was 2:30. 10 litres of water by 2:30, still pro fats. And in fact, the 2-day carb load that we did on the trial peak week, that I did a video of that as well, we attempted that, did the first day, and then by about, well, just before my 4th meal on that first day, I was checking in before each meal. Cal said, mate, you are full as a house after 3 meals. So he was like, right, let's just play this day out. We'll see how you are in the morning. The week before, the 800 carbs in one day, probably, I think I put maybe a pound on, if that, overnight. I woke up on the Thursday before the show after 1 day of carbs, and I put like 7 pound on. So I'd had a cream of rice meal made up, ready to eat post gym when I was doing my last pump session. Checked in with Cal, and he pulled the plug on the carbs. So we went back to pro fats on that Thursday, pro fats on the Friday, obviously show day then. So we water loaded on our Friday, had to check in the services on Easter weekend, which was rammed. So I'll put a couple of pictures on the screen so you can see me posing in my red panties out the back of some random services on the way up to Maidenhead, which was quite funny. I mean, that's one of the moments that I regret not having a videographer, because that would have been funny shit to watch back. So we got to Maidenhead, checked in, and then we had like an hour until my tan was kicking off. So that was like 10 to 5 tan was booked in. So it was just a case of trying to chill for an hour. Went over to tan, got that done. Then it was athlete registration. Carl met me there. Fair play to Carl, he came down for that weekend as well to hold my hand through it all. So Carl came down to registration. And then we went back to the hotel for like 6:30, where I checked in with him in person, and at that point I looked like a water buffalo. I was like, oh, my head was falling off. And that's one of the moments I was like, I'm glad I'm not trying to do a behind the scenes video here. So Carl has obviously done this a million times. He knows the process. I've been with people that have been through this process, but it didn't take anything away from the fact that I felt like dog shit, and I was like, oh my God, am I going to be ready in the morning? If you've competed before, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. Absolute, like, emotional roller coaster, like I said. So Carl said, right, we're going to cut sodium. We're going to add a peak max in, which I use for the peak. And you need to rest, mate. You need to try and get your head down and just chill out a little bit. So I ended up sleeping for like 50 minutes, which is unheard of for me to nap for that long. I'll have 10 minutes, 15 minutes here or there, but 50 minutes. And then I woke up, well, Carl came back down to see me about 8:30. And we went out in the corridor of the hotel. I hit my front relaxed, and he just kind of laughed. And I just went to bits. I was like, what do you mean? What's wrong? What's wrong? I didn't know what he meant. And he was like, it's on. It is on. The difference in my physique in like that 2.5 hours was mad. I'll throw some images up that I've got to, you know, obviously correlate with what I'm talking about. Correlate's a big word, isn't it? So he was like very confident at that point, and it was just a case of getting my last meal in, which was egg whites and asparagus, peak max, and then try and sleep, he said. And again, unheard of from me, I was sleeping by 9:45, and if you take away the pisses that I did through the night, which was probably about 15, I woke up the next morning at like 6, and that was like, I looked in the mirror and I was like, yes. I looked at Carla, I was like, I'm happy. That was the first time I've been happy all the way through this prep, where I've looked at myself in the morning and thought, I'm ready for this. So Carl came down, he had a look, he agreed, he was very pleased, and I still had about another 3 or 4 hours of drying out before I actually stepped on stage. So that was the morning of the show, and that's when I kind of thought, oh yeah, let's do the vlog again. And I did a little bit, and I was like, oh, nah, I still need to focus on this. So the camera went away, the headphones went on, the playlist went on, the leg day playlist, and I got in my emotional deep bag, because there was a couple of people texting me in the lead up to the show, JP being one of them, and he was like, mate, just attack that stage like it's a set on legs, because he knows, you know, I know I go at it on training and that. So he was like, just get your headphones on and just fucking go at it. So that's kind of where I wanted to go with my mentality. So the camera went away, and then we headed over to the venue for like 8 for my second quarter tan. And then it was like an hour and a half, 2 hours of kind of chilling, still trying to get my head on, and then stage time. It wasn't a huge show, you know, obviously, like, we came away with first places. I'm over the moon with it. I still beat people. It wasn't just a case of me being in the class of my own, which I'm happy with, because I still wanted to compete. I still wanted to see where I stood next to people. So there was like 3 in the first class, there was 2 of us in the second class, 3 of us in the third class, and then the 4th class in the open, there was 4 of us. But I loved it. Ever since 2016, when I did that attempt at competing in the WBF, since I stepped off that stage, there's been this like regret, this cloud of regret over my head about like, I fucking hated that, and I did. And that's been like, what, 6 years now? So the feeling I had stepping off stage after the first class in bodybuilding first timers I was buzzing, loved it. And it was hard work because I did 3 categories. Those first 3 categories were basically a conveyor belt. I was on first timers, I'd leave the stage, they'd call beginners up, I'd be straight back up on stage. I'd be going through all my mandatories, I'd come off stage, they'd call up novice, straight back into it. So by that novice category, the third, I was blowing out of my arse. I was starting to sweat because I wasn't going half-arsed on stage, I was going for it. Obviously adrenaline, excitement, and just friggin' determination because of what I've put into this. Everything has gone into this the last 15, 16 weeks. And it all came out on stage. And I think anyone that was there would have seen that, including the judges, because I fucking worked hard. And it ended up being my day. I was a little bit dubious because there were good guys in my classes rather, in the first 3 where I got first places. So I was like, could be like, it's quite tight here. But looking back at the photos, I'm happy and I can see why I ended up taking first. So yeah, and then we jumped in with the open. By the time we got to the open class, I'd had a little breather as well. So I composed myself. They redid my tan, redid my glaze, and then I was ready to go again. Like friggin', I was like a lion pacing on the side stage, and then went up, grafted my arse off. I mean, I didn't really get much of a look in because Luca and David, Luca is coached by Sass, he ended up winning the overall, so he took first in my class. David, who came second, I filmed him a million times when I've done the Two Bros content, so I know these guys are units. And then for me to come third next to Luca, David and me, well happy, absolutely over the moon. And looking back at the pictures, even more so. And everyone I've showed pictures to, they're like, fucking fair play, you're in the mix, like. So I know what needs to be done now, if, you know, whatever the future holds. But before we get to that point, we've got NABA. So we are now 3 weeks and 1 day out. 3 weeks tomorrow is the NABA. We had a little break after the show, food-wise. I didn't eat actual food though. Well, I had a Burger King with the guys from Stups. Shout out to Stups for coming up as well. Thank you very much to Stu and Katie. They kept Carla company in the crowd, heckling from the crowd, saying that he's not just a video guy. And then we went to Burger King, the services. And after that, it was just sugar. Krispy Kremes. I think I did 11 Krispy Kremes. Drip fed throughout Saturday. Most of them Saturday, and then I think I did 2 on Sunday morning. And it was just sugary chocolate, cake, cookies and all that shit on the Saturday, apart from the Burger King. And then I had 3 things I wanted to eat on the Sunday, and that was a home-cooked English breakfast by the wife. We nailed that. I also wanted pancakes as a dessert, which I've never had. So I had pancakes, ice cream with a bit of syrup. I wanted a McDonald's, as shit as that is. As you know, there's a lot better burgers out there than a McDonald's burger, but I wanted McDonald's. So I had a little platter of burgers. And then I wanted pizza. By the time it came to having a pizza, I wasn't that hungry, but I was like, I need to have it to box it off. And of course it was Easter Sunday, so I had to eat my Easter Sunday Ferrero Rocher egg as well. And I was stuffed after that. Weight-wise, I'm not sure what we weighed on show day. Didn't take the scales, but Carl reckons I've dropped anything between 15 and 20 pound from that Friday night to the Saturday morning because of the look. And the lowest weight to prep was 203 on the Wednesday, and I was looking better than that on the Saturday morning. Drier, obviously, depleted. So it must have been about 202. He said anything between 15 and 20 pound. Weighed on the Monday, I was 218. And ever since then, we've just been back on Pro Fats. This is day 6 of Pro Fats. Tomorrow's going to be day 7. Excuse me. And then hopefully some carbs Monday, because I've got a very special video planned for Monday. So even though this is just me sitting here talking to the camera, the next one is going to be a banger, and hopefully I've got some carbs in the system, which we'll find out in the next episode. But that's my little wrap up of the Two Bros Trained by JP Cup. I actually had an email from Jordan and Corin yesterday as well to say that because I won my class, I think it applies to one class. I won 3 classes, but because I won, I actually get £500 worth of Train by JP gear. So I placed my, I give them my list today. Now obviously I've filmed for Jordan and Corin for some time. They said, you've pretty much got everything that we have, because we send it to you anyway. So just let us know if you need any newer sizes, duplicates, whatever. So I've sent them a list of a couple of things, mostly supplements if I'm honest, ready for off season, you know, like the cream of rices, because that'll be nice to put in the mix, intra workout and all that stuff, and all the health subs. So what I've also done is I've ordered a couple of additional items, because if you're still tuned into this, like what, 16 minutes in, thank you first of all, but in 2 weeks, just before the NABA, I'm going to be doing a giveaway on here, just to say thank you really to everyone that supported me through this prep, to the subscribers, to the people on Instagram, anyone really, anyone that wants to get involved. There's going to be a few things you need to do, obviously, like subscribe to the channel, follow certain things on Instagram, etc. But we're going to be giving away a couple of Train by JP items in the form of clothing, not the subs, I'm keeping them for myself. I've ordered XL oversized, because that's kind of middle of the road to fit most people. And then I've got some supplements from Stups, and I've also got some cookies from the, is it the Cookie Dealer RCT? I think that's what it's called. Cookie Project RCT. Carla bought me some, we tagged them, we've been going back and forth, and then they wanted to get involved. So they're going to be sending me some bits as well. So that's going to be happening probably the week leading up to the NABA, and then I'll announce it after that. Or maybe just before it. So that's that. On to the next one. I was also doing a FitX show the week after the NABA. I'm not sure if I mentioned that at all. There was 3 shows planned: Two Bros, NABA, FitX. I've pulled the plug on FitX because originally it was because we didn't have the Train by JP Cup show penciled in, so I just wanted to do 2 shows while I'm in shape. But we've done this one. We had a fucking crazy success down there, which again is blowing my mind just looking at these medals. And then I started thinking about like the NABA show, the reason why I wanted to do this prep in the first place. I mean, there's a couple of things, and you'll find out in the show day episode the real catalyst for why prep actually happened. But obviously another reason was it was my birthday. And then I started thinking about, like, if I, regardless of what happens on the NABA, you know, I'm going to be 100% in this. There's no stone that's been left unturned. I'm going to be over the moon with how I look. Me and Carl have fucking smashed it. And I think anyone that's followed this will agree. So regardless of what happens, we know what bodybuilding's like. Everything is going to be put into it on that stage again. We've got a lot of local supporters going down to it. So I look forward to seeing you all there. But regardless of what happens on the NABA, I'm happy to kind of call it a day there, because it's my birthday. I got family, friends coming down to support. The last thing I want to be doing after that show is hopefully going for some food afterwards. That's not the last thing, that's what I want to do. But the last thing I want to be doing is sitting there with all my friends, my family, post-show, regardless of what happens, win, lose, fall off the stage, regardless of what happens, I don't want to be sitting there thinking, I can't really go in here and enjoy myself and like take this moment in because I've got another show in 6 days. That thought in my head, that's just gonna make me a bit of a wanker, if I'm honest, to be completely straight up and honest with you. So we've pulled the plug on it. Cal has agreed. The birthday's a good one to go out on. It's on home soil. So it's just a case of grinding this next 3 weeks out now. 2 weeks really, because peak week flies. So we've got 2 weeks of just putting it in. Training's back to good, decent volume. There's no reps in reserve now, so I'm happy, at least there. But obviously food has still been low. So that's it. 20 minutes. Hopefully you've still tuned in. Thank you for all the messages post-show after the win and everything. Thank you to Two Bros, Ian. Thank you to Carl for everything, mate. You know the score. Carla. And we just grind it out now for another couple of weeks for the NABA. And I'm sure that is going to be a banging video to end this prep series on, because we've got Laz Gelsey on the buttons, one of my good friends. So He's going to document the whole day. He's coming here early on my birthday. We'll have a nice mix of me opening my cards. Hopefully I'll have some cards at my ripe old age. And then, you know, show day. So thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe to stay tuned for all the upcoming videos. And I'll see you on Monday down in London. Peace.